Hello everyone. Yeah, actually just we completed one session with from US. Now we are moving towards Australia. So I am welcoming. Welcome to the Global BizApps Weekend 2021, powered by D365 Champs. It's day one today, and we hope you are doing well and keeping safe. I'm Goloknath, moderating this session along with Preeti. So this session is presented by Rachel Pang. Rachel will be talking about building a bot with Power Automate. Actually, let me introduce something about Rachel. Rachel is Microsoft Business Application Specialist, having around 10 years of experience and working as a functional lead with Empire Limited, Melbourne in Australia. And she is a regular speaker and blogger on Microsoft Dynamics 365 on Power Platform. Her expertise is in Power Virtual Agents, D365 marketing, and Power Apps. So before I hand over the session to Rachel, I would like to mention that if you have any queries, please feel free to drop it in the chat window. We will take up either during the session, if possible, or during the QA time. Thank you again for joining and enjoy the session. Rachel, it's over to you.
Thank you. Appreciate the intro. It's short and sweet. Let me take over. Let me share my screen. There we go. All right, let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Perfect. All right, let's get started. So thanks for joining my session today. And also today we're going to talk about building how we can build a bot with Power Automate. A bit myself, which Goloknath already told you about myself, my experience, my expertise. Apart from that, I'm doing the blog, which you can find by rachelpang.org. I'm blogging Dynamics marketing and other technology as well. Feel free to link me, connect with me on LinkedIn. Find my profile and send me a message. Let me know you are watching. If you have any feedback, yeah, let me know. All right, let's get started. So the agenda, today we're going to talk about Power Virtual Agent. I'll give you the intro if you haven't used Power Virtual Agents in the past. And based on my industry experience, I come up with a user story and we can go through a demo. After the demo, I will take you through a few things we can improve on for the solution and some tips how we can use Power Virtual Agent. Okay, first thing first, Power Virtual Agent is a part of Power Platform, which is local platform. As you know, we have a few Power Platform tools. Power BI, which give us business analytics. We can build application from Power Apps. Power Automate is we can do all the fancy automation. Power Virtual Agent is the last tool in the family. Across different tools, we have hundreds of data connectors, and we use AI Builder to enhance intelligence. Database is where we can store data, do data validation stuff. So before we dive into Power Virtual Agent, let's think about why we want to use the chatbot. Simply, it gives us 24/7 customer experience, customer service experience. It can handle multiple customers at the same time. It can also collect data, analyze data behind the scenes, process automation, and it can be simply published anywhere on your website, on the social media channels, and also Teams. Now, what is Power Virtual Agent? Power Virtual Agent is a thing like us to create a bots and can answer questions posed by our customers, employees, or visitor to our website, our communication channel, like I mentioned, website, social media, Teams. It doesn't need developer. So as subject matter experts will be able to create a bot from scratch. Why do we use Power Virtual Agent with Power Automate? Simply, we'll be able to create automation behind the scenes when visitor type in the question send any information, the automation will be able to process. Okay, if you haven't seen Power Virtual Agent in the past, I'll take you through, let you give a bit feeling what it looks like, and also some key components. So here's a link, later I'll post in our chat, where we can create trial. It's actually a how-to guide, take you through how we can set up a trial account. Within the web page, you'll be able to see a link that take you through the sign-in process, create your own first trial account. Let me get out here so I can copy this link. I'll send it into our chat. All right, I got a trial account already created and environment, everything's already provisioned. Let me take you through. All right, cool. Now I'm in Power Virtual Agent. You can see the look and feel is quite similar to the other Power Platform tools. Left-hand side is navigation panel. It has the key functions. You can click into it to take you through. On the top here is a fancy board panel. By clicking into that, you can see the environments we have from this drop-down. I have two environments. Currently, I'm just using the default. By clicking into each environment, I give you different options of all the bots available in this environment. And here's a button you can create a bot. Make sure you select the right environment. From the home page, there's a few quick clicks. Suggest topic is one of the ways how we can create topics in the system. If you already have bot, you can just click test bot to get it started. Publish bot, when you are ready, already saved, you make sure you publish before you can embed into other social media, website, different channels. We can also learn, go through the training from this comprehensive documentation and video take you through. If you have some amazing ideas how we can improve the Power Virtual Agent, and if you want to throw a question, here's a link to take you through. Okay, left-hand side, after home, let's go to the topics. Topics is simply is where we build the conversation. It's the conversation map this way. There are a few ways we can build topics. Like I said, suggest topic basically is if we have existing frequent asked question web page, we can just dump that link into this field and click add. And behind the scenes, the system will be able to recognize the question answers and create topics in the system without you need to manually create it one by one. So it's really easy way to let us get started. If you have any document like PDF here, all the different type of document, make sure you host them online, and then you can use a link. Before you click start, you can also add multiple links together on that system to read through all your topics. Once a topic created in system, all these suggested topics sitting in the suggested tab. So here are a list of topics I use. I think I got it from Microsoft support page. So these are the links that the topics are already created. At this stage, you can see 23. They are still sitting in different tab from the existing tab. So although it's already created in system, but we still have to add them into the existing to turn them on. So you can do bulk, add into existing, or manually add one by one. Or you can just delete it if you think it's not necessary. In your Power Virtual Agent, once you add into existing, I will suggest you review them, go through the authoring canvas, make sure I pull out the correct data and it is what you expect it will happen on the website when someone asks you a question. Once you review them, you can turn on one by one here. Apart from, we can create the topics from existing online document or online web page. You can see down here, we have quite a few already created topics. Here's a pretty like common sense, like grading and escalation is always been on, always will be part of your bot. And we have these a few predefined topics that we can get started. We can create a copy, you can modify based on existing ones, and you can turn on and off manually. I would suggest if you haven't used Power Virtual Agent in the past, you go through them, and it's a beginning point. Personally, it's how I learn as well. Or you can create from scratch. Later in a demo, I will take you through how we can create a topic from scratch. Move down to entity. Entity is where we teach a bot to recognize the object in the real world. So here you can see email, events, color, city. These were already created system, and these are the things we teach the bot. Now you need to recognize a certain value is a date and time, or this particular format. This belongs to email. Okay, analytics, simple as is kind of a reporting, let you know the KPI, the performance of your bot, your Power Virtual Agent. Publish is where you can publish your bot once you already save it and go through different channel. Manage and manage these few things we can work on. If you want to change to a different icon, you can do it here or give a different name because I already put it here as Ask Me. That's how I pick it up. Channel is different communication channels where you can put your bot, embed your bot. Agent transfer. Imagine you already have Power Virtual Agent or the Power Bot answer all the questions from visitor. However, some questions can't be answered. That bot just not smart enough to recognize everything 100%, and the customer want to escalate. This is how you can link to the human agent. Security, as simple as authentication, sharing. Skill is where you can tag a particular skill for the bot that can enhance the skill capability. AI is where we can enhance the intelligent capability here. All right, that's the look and feel, the basic function we can achieve from Power Virtual Agent. Come back to the presentation. Okay, all right. So I come from sports. Before I jumped into consulting, I have been working in the sports industry for a number of years. Here is an example. I use Australia Football League, as I'm based in Australia, Melbourne, Australia. I believe this scenario can be applied in other sports as well. So the persona who will be using this solution, it could be sports fan, could be sports club member, and could be a web visitor. What they are trying to achieve is to find particular teams next game. It could be date and time, location, or other related information put out from the database. The solution, how we can achieve that? There's two ways. Of course, you can jump to the website, go through the fixture, find out the game's next session, date and time. In this session, we're going to use Power Virtual Agent. We're going to build a bot and do the smart thing behind the scenes, and so that visitor will be able to type in a question and the bot can give you the answer directly. All right, so I already built one. Let's give it a try. If you haven't used, you don't know much about AFL yet, there's a few teams that you can give it a go. I'll copy this link into the chat so you can try. Make sure you type these teams. I haven't built all for all the teams yet. There we go. And paste. Alrighty. Now I'm gonna open from my, I think that's the one, but let me copy and paste it. Okay. All right, this is a demo website. At the beginning, I can say morning to get a conversation going, and the bot get back to me with a rating and ask how the bot can help me. I'll say I want to know. Okay. Sure, I'm happy to help. Let me know which team you're looking for. All right, I'm typing one of the team here. Carlton, you can try Carlton Football Club or Carlton FC, see what it gives you. What it does, behind the scenes, it will search the game with this team name. It returns with 2 games in the system. And also ask me, do you want to ask another team? I can say yes. I can keep typing the team here. Now next one, I'm going to type Carlton Football Club. I give you the game available in the system for Collinwood Football Club. I don't need to ask anything else. And did I answer your question? Yes. Give me a survey. So far, so good. All right, cool. This is what we're going to build now. Any questions so far? All right, let's get started.
Not yet, Rachel. Please go ahead.
Thanks. All right. Before we go into the popular form, let me show you the key components we're gonna build to achieve this, to complete this solution. There are a few things that we need to work on. Okay. We need a storage to store the data. So we're gonna build a custom table in Dataverse and create a few custom columns now. It's called column now, and you get used to it. To store the values, for example, the date and time of that game, home team, away team, round number, location, which is stadium, created that column. And then we're going to import data. In terms of importing data, there's a few ways we can do that. In the Dataverse, we'll be able to manually enter one by one, or you can edit data from your Excel. And also, we don't want to give every single user the admin permission, highest level permission to go to the Dataverse, modify data. For the event management team, I'll recommend that we have model-driven app with the proper security permission assigned to the event team so that they can manage the data within the app. Next thing we're going to work on is the Power Virtual Agent. Like I said, we need the entity to teach the bot different teams that, for example, Carlton Football Club, Collinwood, they are the team name. Topics is where we're going to map out the conversation. Power Automate, we're going to use that to build a flow to filter data by the visitor, the customer typing a particular team name. The flow will be able to retrieve that team name, filter data in the Dataverse custom table, and bring back the game information back to the bot and present it to the customer. In terms of the flow, let me show you how we're going to build a flow here. This is a map. Okay. Here's a few steps we're going to build from the flow. First thing first is we need the input, which is the team name tapped in by the customer from the bot. Secondly, we're going to filter that team name in our game table. And then we're going to initial the variable, return result, list of games. Next is to append to string variable, show the game attributes. For example, I want to return back to the customer the name of that game, the location, the time, what are the two playing teams, home team, away team, etc. If this team does not have a game or schedule, cannot find the game schedule in the database, we have to return result as blank. So later on, we'll be able to tell the customer, sorry, there's no game in the system. Or if there is a one game or multiple game returned, as a result, we want to compose them, join them together, and bring back to the bot, back to the Power Virtual Agent. Okay, all right. The demo. It's the fun part. Okay. Already got customer table created in the Power Apps database. So this is the custom table called game. As default, you can see all the available columns for this table. From this drop down, I only want to show you the custom ones. So later we can use that name, in the flow. So we have away created, home team created, date and time. Round is the round number. Stadium is the location. One thing I want to get your attention is later, I'll keep this window open so that later I can copy the name and put it into the flow as well. For the name, it could be a combination of several columns. I can say round one column will be versus Charlton Football Club and date and time. It could be like I said, it could be a combination of several columns. I can use a flow to achieve this by a record is created in system on creation that I can combine multiple columns together, feed that value back to the name field. In terms of how we can bring the data in, if I go data tab, you can see on the top the navigation change. I can add a record one by one. Again, you need to create your own form to pick up all the fields you want to populate data in. I can add a record one by one, or I can go to the data drop down, add the data in Excel. What it does, it pick up the Excel app and give you a template that you can dump your data into the Excel. If you have hundreds of rows of records, I think I would recommend this way. But if it's just one or two, you can manage by add a record from here. Like I mentioned, for advanced team, we shouldn't have highest security permission. I recommend to use model-driven app. I create a model-driven app here, so the user will be able to add a new record from this app. Now we got the table, we got data ready. We're going to go to Power Virtual Agent here. I'm going to create one. Make sure I got it right. All right, always check, make sure I got the right environment. Okay, from here, first thing, well, we're going to teach the bot to recognize the object in the real world. In our instance, it's going to be the team. Or to create this one, let me just delete so that I can create from scratch and show you how it works. I'm deleting this team. All right, delete successful. I'll create from scratch. We're going to create new entity, which is custom entity. This one already pre-exists in the system. Add a new entity. There are two types of custom entity. One is called closed list. By saying that, it's just a list of items. For example, a closing size, small size, large size, medium size. It's clearly defined item. So in that case, we'll use closed list. You can see there's another option. It's by expression. What it does is for the object following certain logic pattern, you can use this. For example, the example system give us is article ID. Or for order ID or tracking ID, we can use this method. In our use case, we use closed list. Okay, click into that. I'll create a team. I'll enter if you have description you put here, but it's not critical. Just leave it up. Let me pick up. Here's a few teams I can create here. The spelling is right. Carlton. I think about when you're creating entity, think about this way. Consider what are the possible item name the visitor or customer is likely to type in. For the second name, you can put it into a synonym. You could call Carlton FC. It could also be called Carlton Football Club. I think it's good enough. Let me just create a few names so that Bot can recognize. And one more, and we're ready to go. Following my solution suggested solution, you can play around with other spots. I'm sure it will work. There we go. I got 3. All right, so we only will be testing in 3. Smart matching, basically, it can recognize misspelling, grammar variations. So always leave on. Save. While it's saving, the next thing we're gonna work on, we're gonna do topics. So which means we're gonna create a conversation. This is done. I'm gonna close off. Good. I'm going to topics. Alrighty, we're gonna create topic from scratch. It's gonna be exciting. So to begin, of course, we need a name. Of course. And in order to create a topic, we'll need trigger phrase. What trigger phrase does is, imagine we get on the bot. I start with, I want to know AFL game location. That sentence is a trigger phrase. We'll need at least 5 to teach the bot. These are the sentence will take me through to this topic. So I got a few. Can I say? There we go. No. Right. What is upcoming game? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, good to get started. Once we are got the trigger phrases, I'll go to authoring canvas. This is where we're gonna build the questions, answers, etc. Now I'm in the canvas. You can see that we already got a few phrases popped in, which we created earlier on in the one step before. And here is a message. If you can recall in the demo, which we try here, we have here. Sure, I'm happy to help. This is the message box we're gonna pop in. Sure, I can help with your question. All right, next thing, the bot will ask which team you want to ask. So I have a question. So you probably will ask me why we have a message which is separate from the question, why we don't put this sure I can help with your question into this question box. Again, if you can recall the demo, once I already asked a team, secondly, it asked me again, do you want to ask another team? After the bot threw that question, again, when I say yes, I want to ask another team, it takes me back to the same question, this question, that which team do you want to ask? So it's going through a loop. That's why I do not want to show this. Sure, I can help with your question, this message again. That's why I separate up. After we build a question here, it asks me to identify what I want to identify from this question. Here's a few options. It could be the choice option, and by saying that, it means, for example, yes or no, these are the choice options. Or user entire response is the message I type in the bot chat bot. Age, city, all the other ones are already existing in the system. These are pre-built entity. As we already have our own custom entity, which is called team, so I only want to pick up team. You probably will ask me why we don't use user entire response. The reason behind that, if you can recall that, I type in Carlton. Also, I was saying you can try Carlton Football Club, so that the bot can recognize these two items, they are the same team. That's why I use the customer team here, customer entity. I got 2, 3 created. Okay, that's what I asked for. Make sure you have good habit. Sometimes I forget. Always have a variable you can recognize later on down the track. All right. Once I can identify a team, I want to call a flow. So the flow, we don't build a flow from scratch. I can go call an action from here. By clicking call action, it gives me a list of flow available in the same environment for Power Virtual Agent to use. Or build a field, but we don't create from scratch. There are 2 ways you can link flow with your bot. This is one way, one of the ways we create flow from this interface. Second way is you can create flow from Power Automate, but make sure you can link it back to this bot can recognize. Create flow. Say good. Give a unique name, make sure you can recognize. As already done a lot of testing, sometimes just get lost. Okay, this is about a session. Right, because I triggered creating a flow from the Power Virtual Agent, that's why you can see input output already been built for me. Here I want to add input, which will be a team name. Name, which is text. Perfect. Next one. I want to filter the database list a few records. Search in the table, list all the games has that team name as part of the name column. So I need to find this published as part of There we go. All right, table name is the table created is called games filter. So this is where we're gonna put some fancy information. Contains in the first part you're gonna enter in the name of that field within the game table. I got it open, so I need to pick up. This is the one I want to search for, so I'll just copy that, put into the filter. Right. And then I want to pick up the team that I entered in from the Power Virtual Agent, the step above. So I go here, pretty straightforward, only one's there. One thing, the single quotation variable. All right, close it. All right, next thing is I need to initialize the variable. We'll pick up, set a variable, and initialize. Here, let's give a name. I think it's gonna be a string. Next thing, we're gonna append the variable. In the value, we're gonna populate the information I want to return back to the customer. We're gonna use the append variable name. I'm gonna pick up team, which is from the initialized variable here. Value, okay, it can be a bit tricky. So imagine similar to this demo, you can see we got a game name here. We got home team, away team, stadium, the location, date and time. So we're gonna put that in here. I'll say game gave me the dynamic information from here. Or search game. All right, cool. One thing I want you to be careful with, when I type in game, it gives me the unique identifier. We don't want this GUI code. We want a name field. Have the name. When you start typing in the value, you can see apply to each. The reason behind that, as simple as when I search team, in the game table, it could have multiple games listed. So that's why it's applying to each. Now I'm going to separate up game home team. Similar, I'll go to dynamic content. Call it good. It's the home. I'll pick up the away game. And then we're going to see different time. Let's do stadium first. There you go. And then date and time. Later I'll show you it's a bit tricky part. If you have used Power Automate before, date and time could return with some weird code. We're going to format. Let's just use the date and time, so later we can improve, we can change it. All right, it's done. We're going to format this a bit, so I'll put a space in the front, and the reason is if we have multiple games, we don't squeeze everything together. Yeah, so easy for the customers to identify which game is what. All right, that value is completed. Next thing we're going to do is do a condition. The reasons, as I said, if we have one game or multiple game and in the table, that's good. If we don't have, so we don't come with blank. So want to pick up, there's no game. in the table, and we can tell the customer that sorry, there's no game in the system. So I'm going to add condition. It is. All right. We use this variable. If the variable here equal to nothing, there's no value returned. I want to tell the system that we use compose here. Compose input that will be empty. So I can tell the bot there's nothing returned. If there is something, if there is one game or multiple game, I want to compose here. Compose all the games together, return into one answer. Okay, all right, that looks good. That looks good. Back to the output, return value back to PowerWatch agent. I want to have text. Here is say team output, so that I can capture both compose 1 and compose 2. I put output 1 and 2 together. Great, looks fine. Make sure you save it so that PowerWatch agent can recognize your flow is there in the system. All right, saving, good. Now let's go back to PowerWatch agent. Let's try if you can see the flow. Where do I pick it up? I pick it up from call action. What's that called? What's that called? Here we go. So I actually have to delete all the other ones. PowerWatch agent session. Here it is. All right. So the input, select the value, is the one we created earlier, and the output is team output. And from here, I want to return back to customer if there's no any game in the system. Like I said previously, I'll use a condition here. If the team output equal to, what do I say? I think it's empty. Yes. If there's nothing returned, I want to tell the customer that show message, I'm sorry, there's no game in the system. Okay. Sounds so technical. There's no game schedule. Ready? Okay. If there's more than one game, we'll return back to the message box. Show a message and then pick up the output. There it is. Alrighty. Okay, after we got to return the message back to the customer saying either this game or there's no game. And then the bot can ask me again, do you want to ask another team? So it doesn't matter which way I'm going to, I want to join together and ask the same question. In that case, let me just create a question first. Do you want to ask another? Yes. Okay. Or in terms of joining together, I can sometimes you can't really see the line, but actually it is there. Just a funny thing with Microsoft. I can join the dots by clicking plus. You can see it's got highlighted the purple pinky color. Put together and join together. Okay. All right. It means those two parts merge into one question. Although again you can't see them, but actually it's there. All right. If the customer answer with yes, which means the customer wants to ask for the second team, and I want to take it back to the top question here. Go through that again. It's a loop thing. So I'm not going to link here. Link to the message. I'm going to link to the question or ask me again which team you want to ask. Similarly, we're going to highlight this plus and click this tiny little circle. and click back to the circle on top of question. Ready to go. Click here. All right, cool. Now hit link. That's a funny thing. Find here. Let me do that again. Click here. Oh no, it works. Sometimes I just have to try different things to make sure it's linked together properly. Now, which means if I want to ask for another team, it will take me back to the top question. If I do not want to query another team, it will give me, it will take me to the end of conversation. So end this already. That is done. So save it before we can test it. Okay, it's saving. I can see it is a couple buttons can take you to test within this PowerWatch agent. You don't have to publish each time. You can go here to test, or you can go test your bot. Okay, now same thing. Let's go through again. You can see there's a little tiny navigation thing. You can just zoom in, zoom out by clicking this button, or you can use recenter. Go. All right. So here I can say morning to get it started. Okay, and then I can say what can I help you with? I want to ask. Okay, which team you're asking? Once you go through the question, you can see right hand side take you to the proper location of the question or answer. Which team you want to ask? Again, I'm going to use Carlton. It's searching in database. Great, it gave me 3 games. Here's a few things we're gonna improve on. First thing, you can see one, it doesn't break out. After she gave me the game name, it gave me the home team right away. I want to put into another line. This is one thing we're gonna work on. Another thing, remember I mentioned date and time, it pick up all the format. I want to put that into the correct, I'm going to use Australian format. Okay, and another thing I want to show you how we can pick up only the future games. All right, let's do these 2 first, and then we can
Hey, Rachel, I'm sorry to interrupt. We have got another 13 minutes, and there are some queries. Would you like to answer them or finish your demo first?
Let me finish the demo. Later on, I can answer that in the chat.
Sure.
Yeah, that's fine. I can answer one by one later on. It's fine.
Yeah,
Let me finish off. So it doesn't take long. Should be finishing soon.
Definitely.
So we'll improve this. Okay. All right. The formatting, which is about. Remember, we want to move into the second line. We can use the double space for all these. Next to each line. And save it. Another thing is the date and time. We're going to format it with the expression. So when you hover to date and time, you can see this name behind it. Make sure you take note. We're going to use this as part of the expression. For that, we're going to use expression. The expression we're going to use is called format. Date and time. And within that, you're gonna enter the name of this date and time field. And also you're gonna use comma break that, and you're gonna enter in the format of Australian date and time format. I got it here ready, so I just gotta copy paste, put it in. Right. Okay, okay, all right, let me take out the other one. That one, save it. And then we're gonna try again, back to the bot. Here, let's restart again. I'll just drag the caffeine again. Will ask me which team. Again, I'll pick up Carlton to look up, and then we will see the formatting. Okay, now you can see it break out into a second line. Date and time is in Australia format. You can see some of this one is in the past. This game is in the past. So I only want to pick up this one, the future ones, 1, 2, these two. So we're gonna do another expression. Back to the filter. I only want to pick up the game. Date and time is earlier, in the future from now on. So that is the date and time field. Will be this one. Copy. I'm gonna use G as short for grade and equal. And I'm gonna use UTC, which picking up the current date time. Put that in. I'm gonna save it. All right, let's try that again. Okay, all right, let's refresh. I'm gonna use a Carlton again so that you can see the change we just made. Okay, oops. Average team, Carlton. Oops. I haven't done the code properly. Let me just do that again. Right now. I'll use UTC. All right, cool. Hopefully it works. Otherwise, I will show you the ones already built. Just have to fiddling around with the flow thing. Okay, all right, cool. 2 game returned. That is what we're gonna build for the solution for the user story. Now back to the presentation. The top 2 I already mentioned. In the future, there's a few things for enterprise level that we can work on if we use Dynamics marketing in the company. Now we can use the event table, which is part of Dynamics marketing, which can provide a registration experience for the customer, and we can set up communication piece as well. All right, it's a few tips to bring the output for earlier, so that to reduce the customer wait time and choose correct environment. And reference acknowledgement. Daniel, I think, is part of this event as well. He's amazing. He's really good with all types of technologies. He has a YouTube. I actually met this session inspired by Daniel. Rishona is based in Australia. She's pretty good in Power Automate as well. Lin is MVP. He's expert in Power Automate. If you haven't found these guys, follow them and learn more. They are quite active in our community as well. Alrighty, that's my session. Before I finish off, I want to thank you all the event organizers put up amazing event for us, for the community, and all the effort, time they put behind the scenes. I was organizing event previously, so I know how much time they have to contribute into this amazing event. So thank you everyone as well to come to the session. Okay, that's me.
Yep. Yeah. Rachel, there are a few queries if you would like to promptly answer them.
Yes, I will go to the
Okay.
chat, answer them one by
Yeah.
one.
So the first one goes, how can we make entity list items case insensitive? One of the users has tried searching Richmond with a small r on the bot, and it was returning any result. But when I said Richmond with capital R, it returned the result.
I'll get back to this person. I see there's a few messages come through. I'll go through one by one.
Okay.
I'll give it a break. I think this 2 session hectic.
No
Give
worries. No worries.
us back.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
okay.
I'll go back to the chat and answer them.
Yeah.
Thanks, Fred.
Okay. So just a notice to the champs joining in this session. Rachel will be answering all the queries in the chat window, so please stay tuned. And thank you, Rachel, for joining this session, and thank you so much joining everyone. We really appreciate your presence, and we hope that you are taking away some powerful learnings from this session. Thanks to Rachel for an amazing session on building bot with Power Automate and sharing your knowledge with us. It was really great having a live demo building the bot from the scratch.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Thanks a lot, Rachel. Really appreciate your time today with us.
No, that's all right. All good. It's my pleasure. Thanks for giving me the opportunity.